Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Pup. We are coming back with some more LPDL draft notes for the semifinals of, season 2. This week we have some really fun matches. I dropped out, if you guys didn't see. I lost to AppRouter, and they are facing off against Tom, which is going to be a really crazy game. AppRouter, it really got a little bit lucky against me, but it was a great game versus them. You guys should definitely go check it out. Ended up getting flinched by a deerling. So, it is what it is. But Tom seems like he cruised by Frisian in his game. I watched that, and, Tom's just been great this entire season. It's going to be really hard to pick against him. And then on the other side of the bracket, we have Taytaz as the 3 seed against Jamal as the 2. So a lot of really, really strong guys here. Any one of them could win, really. The only outlier is AppRouter, who's like the 7th seed or whatever. But, with a crazy team and, some good prep, I feel like it could definitely happen here too. But let's go over this matchup. Tom had a great season, 7-1 plus 17. AppRouter took over for Pyro's team, still ended up going 4-4, some clutch wins to secure their playoff spot and beat me. So, take some skill to do that, and they have a crazy team. So we'll talk about AppRouter's team first. The Meryl is not very strong in this game like it was to my team. It doesn't have the best speed tiers, and it doesn't just have the best offensive matchup. Stuff like Turtwig can be pretty solid into it. Like the Galarian Meowth can eat a hit and always, knock that thing out pretty easily. Bergmite can even eat hits from that guy. You do always have to be worried a little bit about Belly Drum. You have to be a little bit worried about Choice Band. It's a little bit of like a matchup check sort of thing. And if you prep for the wrong thing, you can just straight up lose on the spot. So you can't count it out, but it's not quite as good here as it was before. Yanma, really something that caught me off guard that was really solid into me. I think it's also solid in this matchup. Kind of spams Bug Buzz, kind of spams like Air Slash, that sort of stuff. Very unresisted besides the Galarian Meowth, which I think is a key Pokemon on Tom's side. But you do have the Score Bunny for AppRouter that can take care of it. You have the Gibble that can take care of it. Some really good stuff. I think Score Bunny looks great in this game. Just having a really nice, fast speed tier. And, having great offenses into basically everything on Tom's team is really, really nice. And with Libero, you don't have to worry about your typing as much. Especially, it's harder to get Revenge Kill to buy that Corphish that can click Aqua Jet into you. So you feel a little bit better about that. The Gibble can be super scary with Sword Stance plus Scale Shot. I think if it gets a Sword Stance up, with that, it has the potential to just win. You do have potential for like Phanpy Ice Shard in the back, which can be scary for that. And then the Terra Croagunk, because what I think is going to be really strong here. And there's a ton of great Terra options. Really depends on what you want out of this Pokemon. What do you want it to beat? Do you want it to open up your Yanma? Like, do you just want it to be able to switch in and beat the Galarian Meowth every single time, right? Do you just want like super strong, spammable offense into their team? Then maybe, you can go with, there's a lot of really good Terra types in this game, right? You can go Terra Fighting and just double your stabs. I think Terra Flying is also really solid. See that you're immune to the Phanpys, Earthquakes, that you're resisting the Mankey that is a little bit annoying for your team. But there's other options as well. Plenty of stuff, but you might need to deal with Turtwig that way, blah, 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 blah. Plenty of stuff for you to do with your Croagunk here. I think it can be a nice setup threat. Nasty Plot actually looks really fun in this game. Vacuum Wave sort of stuff, so you don't have to worry about the opposing priority. You can always switch in on Aqua Jet from the Corphish if you do plan to be, not defensive per se, but, use that as like an offensive pivot and then supply a lot of damage. I can see like a Choice variant as well being really, really strong. Just being able to blow stuff up, being like Choice Band Gunk Shot, really hard to switch into because you're not going to switch right into that Meowth, especially when you need it for the other 2 Pokemon on AppRouter's team, being that Meryl and the Yanma. Other Pokemon I can see in this matchup is I think you have to bring the Deerling. Really, really scary matchup into the Misdreavus, which hasn't done too much this season. But if you just let it spam like Choice Spec Shadow Balls, anything like that, you need to have your normal type there. You can't let that happen. I know they're going to have Mystical Fire on the Misdreavus to be able to deal with it. It also, destroys the Sandshrew, but you have to have some Pokemon that you can at least have some sort of resemblance of a switch. So that's really one of the problem Pokemon in this matchup for AppRouter. I think the matchup into Misdreavus is really, really bad. You might have to catch it off guard. I can see another Choice Scarf Poltergeist like they brought versus me last week. which could be really, really strong. So we'll see what they end up bringing. On Tom's team, we already talked about the Missy. Really good. Hasn't done very much work this season, even though they've done great. Tom has just done great throughout the entire season. Hasn't done too much with Misdreavus, but it goes absolutely crazy here. That could be a reason that we see like Terra Normal on the Croagunk, trying to switch into that Pokemon a little bit. But you just spam Shadow Ball, click Mystical Fire into the Chinchou, you click Mystical Fire into the Deerling. Only thing you have to worry about is the Sucker Punch, really, on Score Bunny, and then, you know, the other priority, there's a decent bit. I mean, Sucker Punch on Croagunk, Ice Shard on Sandshrew, Aqua Jet on Marill. So you're really worried about all that. Maybe you run like an Oranberry or something like that. You can run a Colbur if you're worried about the Sucker Punch just straight up. But I think, you know, Oranberry is a little bit better here because you're going to take some damage and you're going to heal back up to full, so you should be able to eat any one of those priority attacks. You also have to worry about some Choice Scarfers. I mean, there are a lot of great Choice Scarf candidates on Appradder's team. I think the Poltergeist, the Croagunk, the Score Bunny, the Deerling, all those could easily be Choice Scarfs. So you have to worry about that a little bit if you're trying to just outspeed everything and overpower them. Another great Pokemon for Tom is the Galarian Meowth. As we talked about earlier, it's just a great resist, being able to switch into the Marill and the Yanma decently. I mean, not like great, you're not going to switch into Choice Band Liquidation, but you can always eat one hit from them and easily be able to take them out. There's no real good switch in for that Meowth, especially you're going to be like Fake Out. You can run Stealth Rocks on that or on the Phanpy, and then Appradder just doesn't want to switch in your Score Bunny. You're never going to be doing all of that. So it's going to be really nice for Tom to be able to do that. I also think I've been a Phanpy hater. I think it's going to be solid in this matchup. Bringing that Ice Shard is going to be very, very important. Just that priority versus Appradder's team is so good, and it's super effective against so many Mons. Deerling and Poltergeist both are, you know, a little bit worrisome. The Gibble is probably going to come to this game because it's really strong offensively, so you can always take that thing out if they have scale shotted and lowered their defense. Also, is really nice for the Yanma. That can also be very annoying for Tom's team. So that Ice Shard is going to be really important in this game, I think, and maybe a deal breaker that lets Tom go by. I also think Turtwig is really solid. You can run a Shell Smash variant if you want, but I think Eviolite, just, you know, trying to eat the water type attacks from the Marill is even more solid there. You switch in defensively to a solid number of things. Not, you know, the Yanma or the Score Bunny or the Sandshrew, and not anything like that, but the rest of the team, you actually switch in decently well. Maybe the Croagunk, you don't want to eat a poison type move, but the Deerling, Poltergeist, Gibble, those are all threats that you can switch into. Marill potentially. And, you know, run some speed investment on that, try to outrun their Marill, be able to revenge kill. I think that's a solid idea from Tom. Other Pokemon I can see you running, Corphish. If you want to run Eviolite or something like that, you always eat Aqua Jets. Knockoff is really strong against Appradder's team. They just have zero switch-ins, really, once the Marill goes down especially, and that thing does not want to take any hit from like an adaptability guy, especially if you get a Dragon Dance up, it's going to go crazy. And then the Aqua Jet's really nice for revenge killing everything. I think Choice Scarf Mankey is really strong. You see it a lot as a Choice Scarfer in, you know, this format. You can click like a Rock Slide into the Yanma and the Score Bunny. Fighting moves are really strong versus the rest of the team, besides the Poltergeist, which you have, you know, U-turn to pivot around. You have plenty of other options. I could also see Litten coming here. I'm not sure exactly what Terra type, maybe Ice if you want to see that, but then you are weak to like the Vacuum Wave on Croagunk. But it's nice for shutting down that Gibble if you're not, you know, convinced that your other Pokemon can do it. It's really strong versus their team, like very spammable. Every single hit from Litten is going to really hurt. Maybe a Choice Scarf variant on that Pokemon as well. But overall, I'm going to have to give this matchup to Tom. I think that it's going to be really hard to, you know, get some momentum for Appradder going in this game. I think Misdreavus is just a little bit too strong. You're going to have to run a lot of Choice Scarfs. You're going to have to run a lot of stuff that will catch Tom off guard. And in that, you're going to weaken your team so that, you know, the defensive Pokemon, Turtwig, Phanpy, Galarian Meowth, all those are really just going to be able to steamroll through Appradder's team. So that's why I'm going to give it to Tom to have them moving on to the finals. And our other semifinal match here is Jamal, who went 6-2 plus 14 versus Taytaz 6-2 plus 12. Both of these teams lost to Tom in the regular season. So whoever wins here is going to have a crazy game. Whether it's against Tom or the upset against Appradder, it's going to be a really interesting finals match no matter what happens. But two really great coaches. Jamal fizzled out in semis last season. We'll see if that happens again. Taytaz has been on, I mean, they've been cooking like their logo. That logo is fire, by the way. But they've just been cooking all season. I think they have a great roster. The more that I look at it, the better it is, especially the top end. Stantler's probably the best Pokemon that we allowed. And it didn't go until like pick 6 or something crazy like that. And they just followed up with some great defensive supportive pieces. And then, you know, their Mastiff that they've run Choice Scarf on every single week and just absolutely demolished people with. I think Taytaz has a crazy team. We'll see what happens here, though. You know, just looking at the matchup, it's hard to tell what's going to happen. There's a lot of counterplay on both teams. We'll start off with Jamal this time. Apom and Totodile have been great all season long. Unfortunately, Totodile is pretty bad in this matchup. I don't think it's very good at all. I mean, there's the Chinchou that easily eats any water move because it's water absorbed. So you are giving that Pokemon free health. You can never just click your stab, which is really unfortunate. What I think I like for the Terra type is like Terra, either Terra Psychic and just click like Psychic Fangs, or like Terra Dark, click Crunch, you know, Life Orb, Sheer Force boosted. You Dragon Dance up, you can, you know, do all that, get a lot of damage on the Chinchou. And you don't want to go, I mean, I could see Terra Grass also working as well. So you're able to hit that thing for super effective damage, but then you're getting hit really hard by Coughing, by like the Citadel that can click Ice Shard versus you, by their other Pokemon on their squad. So, I mean, it's a real toss-up of what you want to do. I think Jamal's going to really try to force Totodile to work in this game, even though I don't even know if it should come to this matchup. I really don't know if it should. Apom, on the other hand, is really strong. You can probably see a couple Pokemon that might want to run Covert Cloak to be able to deal with Apom, like the Stantler. I think that could be a great option on that Pokemon, just so you're not, you know, just cycling those fake outs and stuff. But you do have other Pokemon that can kind of switch in a Coughing, depending. I mean, you have to be very, very defensive, but you're not taking a super ton of damage unless you get knocked off with that Eviolite that you should be running on that Pokemon. But you can also run Neutralizing Gas. So there's no skill link, puts you in a little bit of a better position, or, you know, whatever you want to run. You can also run Drifloon, which means that you just can't switch into like a knockoff or anything like that. You should always take one and kind of threaten Strength Sap, Will-O-Wisp, all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, the Apom can work, but there are a decent amount of Pokemon that can counterplay against it. It is very fast and it's very strong versus this team, though. If you're able to just, you know, get some free hits, it's going to be really hard to switch in. I think Apom might want to run the Clear Amulet here, so it doesn't have to worry about Intimidate from that Stantler. I think that's probably your best option. I think Intimidate Mastiff as well, looking at those Pokemon, I think. So it can deal with all of that, which, you know, looks pretty solid. If you are Taytaz, you want to, you know, try to lower that attack because Apom is a huge threat for you. So I think Clear Amulet is the item of choice. I can see something like Silk Scarf as well, just trying to get as much damage as possible in this game. I think it's going to be Jamal's biggest asset. Just don't throw it away too early. Other Pokemon that I think are solid. I mean, it's really interesting seeing the Drillbur here because, you know, you hit the Chinchou really hard, but if you're choiced, then they switch into a Levitate Coughing or a Drifloon or something like that. Because you need to be Choice Scarf to outrun. You can maybe Rapid Spin your way up there, but you don't really have great ways to break through Coughing, to break through Drifloon. This Pokemon can burn you, they can put you in a bad position. So does Drillbur really do a lot in this matchup? Who knows? It can be a solid revenge killer, especially if you are Choice Scarfed. I think it can do some solid work here, but it's not going to be as great as you would once see. I mean, Taytaz has just some great defensive synergy within those Pokemon. Mostly keeping that Coughing and the Chinchou alive are going to be really important in this matchup. I think Crabrawler is actually really strong. I know Jamal says they don't really like it, but it's very, very fast. And it's very strong. I mean, just clicking Iron Fist boosted Drain Punches or Thunder Punches, Ice Punches, whatever you want to do, it's just great in this game. It probably gets some sort of coverage to hit the Coughing. You can knock it off anyways, which puts you in a better position getting rid of that Eviolite. It's a Pokemon that can absolutely destroy the Stantler. They can just like OHKO it with a Drain Punch. You can take care of the Citadel, which I think is a threat for the team as well. So I think they're kind of throwing a little bit if you don't bring the Crabrawler. Even though they haven't loved it this season, I think it's really solid in this matchup. I also think that Growlithe can be nice. It really depends on what you're going to see on Taytaz's side. Are they going to bring physical or a special Stantler? It's really up in the air. But you can be nice. It can be nice to like intimidate stuff like that. If it's physical, to intimidate the dog, the Mastiff. that is going to be fast and like a sweeper versus your team to intimidate stuff like the Citadel. It can be really annoying, but you have to worry about belly drum. All that sort of stuff can be super duper scary for you. So I can see a defensive Growlithe working in this game, but we'll see what they bring in that spot. I also think that the Hisuian Zorua is quite solid here. I mean, it's a Pokemon that can always switch in to, you know, a normal spamming Stantler. It means that they have to run some sort of coverage, which I think is probably Earthquake in this matchup. Makes a lot of sense here. But, you know, you can potentially offensively pivot into that, makes them think twice before clicking any of their moves because you have that Pokemon in the back. I also think it's a, you know, quite solid Scarfer in this game, making sure that you're outrunning the Scarf Mastiff and just being able to spam those like Hyper Voices or Terra Blast or whatever that Pokemon wants to run. Those special normal moves hit really, really hard into Taytaz's team, besides that Drifloon, which is going to be annoying, but there's a chance that they don't even bring it versus this squad. Just really depends on what you see, and if they don't bring it, you can just absolutely spam those normal moves and you look great in this matchup. Always make them think twice before click and move, so I think it's a really solid Pokemon that you have to bring here. I also think Nosepass is solid. You get your rocks up, you spam Thunder Wave versus Taytaz's team, and you might need some of that yellow magic to be able to win this game. Obviously, they do have a Hatena. If they don't bring it, it's totally free. And even if they do, I mean, you hit decently hard clicking any sort of rock move. There's no resist to rock on Taytaz's side, so I think that Pokemon kind of has to come in this game as well. Looks really, really strong. Although I could see stuff like Slowpoke doing the same work. I mean, your Regenerator, which means you have a lot more longevity. You do have a couple more weaknesses to stuff like the Chinchou that is scary for you, but you can switch into the Citadel a little bit better, and you can spam those T-Waves, which is really nice. I could also see Picky Peck coming in this game if you really want maybe like a Scarf of Bullet Seed variant with Skill Link that can take out the Chinchou, because once that Pokemon is out of the way, your team looks a lot stronger here and also hits, you know, any sort of flying or normal move really hard. I don't think the Cacnea is that great here, but you can spike stack if you do so choose. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting team. Going on Taytaz's side, I think Stantler's really strong here. If I was Taytaz, I would probably just run like Choice Banded Earthquake versus this team. You don't want to have to be able to click like a normal move. You could also run like Agility, all like Double Dance, all that sort of stuff, but it's always going to be, you know, if the Zorua was there, are you going to click that normal move, that Body Slam, that Terra Blast, whatever you're going to click? I think you just run like Choice Banded EQ. It looks great in this game. The resists are Cacnea, which is not very good in this matchup in general. You beat it with half your other Pokemon anyways. And the Picky Peck, which definitely could come, but doesn't want to switch into you at all anyways, and is not terrible for you to switch into as well. So I think Choice Banded EQ with Stantler looks absolutely crazy. I think Coughing and Chinchou are easy brings. I mean, you definitely have to bring both of those Pokemon. They're great defensively. I mean, Chinchou is just great offensively as well. There's no resist to, you know, the moves that it's going to click. It's going to click Surf, it's going to click Volt Switch or Thunderbolt, and it could even bring Ice Beam if you want. You don't even have to. You probably run Eviolite, but you could run something like Covert Cloak, really catch the Aipom off guard, T-Wave that Pokemon. It's just a huge disruptor for Taytaz and is going to win the game for them, I think. I think Taytaz is going to bring it just because they have that Pokemon on their side. It's been absolutely phenomenal throughout the entire season. Coughing, like I said a little bit ago, is just really strong defensively into a lot of Pokemon on Jamal's side. You probably bring it physically defensive and, you know, throw off some Will-O-Wisps versus a lot of the physical attackers. LiliPup has a lot of physical attackers in general, so it makes it really, really strong. I also think you probably want to bring the Mastiff here. You've always brought Choice Scarf, but, you know, you could just bring it again. They have one resist to Dark, which is the Kerbrawler, which doesn't want to switch in at all. So you just bring, like, you know, Choice Scarf, Dark, Terra Dark Crunch, and it destroys Jamal's team. You don't really have great switch-ins and not a lot of great priority besides, like, the Fake Out, which you could run Covert Cloak for if you want. So I feel like Taytaz has an upper hand with that as well. I do like Drifloon in this match. We could maybe not see it here, but it's nice to force the Aipom to not just be clicking like a Fake Out, you know, that sort of thing. Think about knockoff at least a little bit. Same way that we might see the Mastiff be Terra Ghost to be able to get around that revenge killing. Makes a lot of sense. And it can do a lot of stuff offensively or defensively. It really depends on what you want to do. I think Unburden can work here with like an Oranberry sort of stuff, or with some like Colbur Berry to always live a hit from Aipom. You can always switch into that and then just really threaten a lot of stuff on Jamal's team, especially if the Nosepass is gone or just hasn't shown up. Hatena, I think, is solid. Magic Bounce is always pretty good. You click Nuzzle versus a lot of stuff on Jamal's team and really just cripple it, which can be really, really nice. Doesn't do a super ton offensively. Same with Pokemon like Chikorita that can set you up with some, screens. Same with Hatena, I think, can set up dual screens. You can Leech Seed with the Chikorita, do all that supporting stuff. I don't think either of those Pokemon come, but they can be solid Pokemon that you have to prep for. I think Dratini and Citadel both could come to this game. More likely that we see a Citadel, which is really strong, just being able to revenge kill with Ice Shard. He didn't bring like Banded. I think Life Orb makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think it'll be a really strong Pokemon in general. You can run Belly Drum if you want, you don't have to. Dratini can click E-Speed, which is solid versus the team as well to revenge kill. I also think you run Dragon Hands, you can run Choice Band, all that sort of stuff is really strong. And you can also spam T-Wave if you want. So, a little bit of that yellow magic on both sides. But I'm ultimately going to have to give this one to Taytaz. I think they have everything that they need to win this game. You have to, be a little bit diligent about your prep. You need to make sure that you're not just going to lose to Apom, especially if you don't bring the defensive pieces that can actually break through it or, easily take it on. Stuff like Colbur Berry, Drifloon that can at least always switch in once and then cripple Jamal's team. Maybe you want to bring some sort of hazards on your squad. You don't really have the best hazard setting options, but like a T-Spike or something like that to be able to cripple it a little bit more. So I think Taytaz has everything that it takes to be able to win, but we'll see what actually happens. I did terribly on pick'ems last week, only picking one game, I think, out of the 4, right? I mean, I bet on myself, so it's kind of my fault, but we'll see what happens in this one. Hope you guys do enjoy, and I will have a finals pick'em out for you guys next week, or finals draft notes, whatever. I hope you guys have enjoyed this entire season. Season 3 starting up soon at the beginning-ish of June. So if you guys feel like joining or just, watching, make sure you subscribe, join my Discord. We got applications going out. We're playing doubles and low-tier Little Cup, which I think is going to be really fun. That's going to be about it for me. See you in the next one. Peace.